This speech is historic. Science and religion often appear to be in conflict, but upon closer inspection, they can be seen as complementary ways of understanding the world, each addressing different aspects of human experience. That's what John Lennox made sure that everyone understood as he delivered this speech at the Oxford Union, debunking one atheist argument after another. But before I delve deeper into it, watch the clip.
And as we look at the rise of science in the 16th and 17th centuries, Alfred North Whitehead and many others commented that men became scientific because they expected law in nature, and they expected law in nature because they believed in a lawgiver. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not ashamed of being both a scientist and a Christian, because arguably Christianity gave me my subject. What I am amazed at is that serious thinkers today continue to ask us to choose between God and science. That's like asking people to choose between Henry Ford and engineering as an explanation of the motor car. When Newton discovered his law of gravity, he didn't say, I've got a law, I don't need God. No, he wrote the Principia Mathematica, arguably the greatest work in the whole history of science, because he saw that God is not the same kind of explanation as a scientific explanation. God doesn't compete. Agency does not compete with mechanism and law. Why is there something rather than nothing? Alan Sandage, the brilliant cosmologist who became a Christian in his 50s, said God is the answer to that question. But people are now so desperate to show that the universe created itself from nothing, which seems to me to be an immediate oxymoron. If I say X created Y, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of Y. If I say X created X, I'm assuming the existence of X to explain the existence of X, which simply shows that nonsense remains nonsense even if high-powered scientists utter it. It seems to me that Arno Penzias hit it right. He is the Nobel Prize winner who discovered the microwave background on which a lot of the evidence for the Big Bang is based. He said astronomy leads us to a unique event, a universe which was created out of nothing, one with the very delicate balance needed to provide exactly the right conditions required to permit life, and one which has an underlying, one might say, supernatural plan.
By the way, do subscribe for more discussions just like this. Now, science focuses on empirical evidence, testing hypotheses, and developing theories about the physical universe. It deals with the how questions. How do physical and biological processes work? How can we predict natural phenomena, and how can we use this knowledge to improve our lives? Its methodology is based on observation, experimentation, and the repeatability of results. Science thrives on skepticism and requires proof of validation. Religion, on the other hand, addresses the why question that science often leaves untouched. Why are we here? What is the purpose of life? And what happens after we die? It deals with issues of meaning, morality, and existence queries that go beyond the material aspects of life. Religion provides a framework for understanding human existence in a broader context, offering guidance on ethical issues and fostering a sense of community and belonging amongst its followers. Arguing that science can fully explain religion or vice versa is a misunderstanding of the roles each play. They operate in different realms. While science explores the natural world through the lens of observable phenomena, religion explores human existence from the perspective of spiritual and moral understanding. This is a sentiment shared by the Nobel laureate and the father of quantum physics, Niels Bohr, who argued that religion has always addressed the subjective aspect of reality while science dealt with the objective part of it. I think a case can be made that this distinction is crucial in recognizing that science and religion do not inherently contradict each other, but rather complement different dimensions of human life.
Now let me come briefly to ethics. Ethical behavior, like rational behavior, of course, does not itself require religious belief. This is consistent with the fact that humans are created in God's image as rational moral persons. But just as I suggest that rationality cannot be explained without the existence of God, so I dare to suggest that the existence of morality cannot be explained either. As modern science sprang from Judeo-Christian sources, so did the concept of human equality. Listen to atheist Jürgen Habermas, arguably one of Germany's leading intellectuals. He said that universalistic egalitarianism, from which sprang the ideals of freedom and a collective life and solidarity, the individual morality of conscience, human rights and democracy, is the direct legacy of the Judaic ethic of justice and the Christian ethic of love. This legacy, substantially unchanged, has been the object of continual critical appropriation and reinterpretation. To this day, there's no alternative to it. Everything else is just idle postmodern talk. And it seems to me he's hitting the core of something important, because the value of a human being on which such egalitarianism rests is based not on what the human being can do, but what she's made of, or how she's made in God's image. I never forget speaking on one of my many visits to Russia to a colleague in the Academy of Sciences. And he said, "You know, John, we thought we could abolish God and retain a value for human beings. We found we couldn't, and we murdered millions of them." And Alexander Solzhenitsyn has said, "If I'm asked, why is it that 60 million of my fellow countrymen were sacrificed?" He said, the answer is, we have forgotten God.
They haven't forgotten God. They were forced to see their communist regimes. You see, Karl Marx famously described religion as the opium of the people, a statement that communist regimes took to heart as they pursued the creation of atheist states. This metaphor, intended to express how religion can be used to pacify populations, was interpreted by communist leaders as a directive to eliminate religion altogether. Consequently, they focused on dismantling religious institutions and suppressing religious expression, aiming to replace spiritual belief with state ideology. This approach was part of a broader effort to centralize power and control societal thought, ensuring that loyalty to the state superseded all other allegiances. What these people were also trying to achieve was proving that ethics exists outside of religion, but they failed miserably at it. The relationship between religion and ethics is deeply intertwined, with religious teachings providing the foundational moral framework that we hold today. Across various cultures and historical periods, religions have laid down a set of moral principles and codes of behavior that guide the actions of their adherents. These ethical directives are not just abstract concepts that are seen as practical instructions handed down by a higher authority, which adds a divine significance to their observance. That's because religion offers clear distinctions between right and wrong, shaped by the teachings found in sacred texts and religious scripture. These texts contain stories, parables, and commandments that illustrate moral lessons and virtues, such as honesty, compassion, justice, and humility. The influence of these teachings can be seen in various aspects of life, including laws, social norms, and individual behavior, where religious ethics continue to influence decisions and shape societal values as they've done for centuries.
Science, of course, marvelous as it is limited. Even a Nobel Prize winner, by analyzing a cake, cannot tell why it was made. But Aunt Matilda, who made it, can tell you. She can reveal it to you. But if she doesn't reveal it to you, you'll never know. And that brings me to my next evidence. It's the same with the universe. We can analyze it magnificently. But ultimately, if it has a maker, and I believe it has, only he can tell us what it's all about. So it seems to me there's another question we can ask, and it's this. Granted that life presents us with a double picture, we see some beautiful things. We see some ragged edges. We see hurt and pain, and we see joy. How can we come to terms with that? And it seems to me here is no simplistic answer, but a window into an answer, and it's this. If it is actually true that Jesus is, as I believe him to be, the Son of God, then we can ask the question, what is God doing on a cross? And the answer comes back at the very least. God has not remained distant from our human suffering, but has become part of it. And the other side of that is this. Because Jesus rose from the dead, he is going to be the ultimate judge. Now here's an irony, because atheism has no ultimate hope of justice by definition. The vast majority of people in the history of the world have died without justice and will die without justice. And if death is the end, then of course they have no hope of ultimate justice. But the promise in the New Testament, guaranteed by the resurrection of Jesus, is that he is to be the judge in the coming day. So, ladies and gentlemen, those are some of the reasons why I believe that God is real and worthy to be trusted. Thank you.
In this age of scientific advancement, some people think that we might know everything we need to, making religion seem outdated and obsolete. However, this view doesn't fully appreciate how much we still know and the role religion plays in addressing questions that science can't answer. Science has certainly deepened our understanding of the natural world, revealing intricate details about how the universe operates and the complex nature of genetic codes. But despite these advancements, there are still profound questions about existence and purpose, which science alone cannot resolve. Religion continues to offer insight into those mysteries, providing perspectives and values that enrich human understanding in ways that purely scientific approaches may not capture. I think this goes to show that both science and religion enrich human life by providing distinct, yet complementary perspectives. Embracing both can lead to a more rounded and profound understanding of our place in the universe. Recognizing their respective contributions allows for a dialogue that respects both empirical knowledge and spiritual wisdom without forcing one to negate the other. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that science and religion are mutually exclusive? Let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below.